I'm a big fan of the film Dark City. In the film, there's these hive mind aliens that were abducting humans, and then the hero protagonists were experimented upon, and then he activated his psionic ability and started doing beatdown with the aliens. I was so young back then when the films came out, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was such a treat to be able to discover a film like that. Takes me back good times. It's such an undiscovered film for a long time, but then nowadays most pop culture people know about it. It was on TV on repeat for many years. And back then in the 2000s, there just weren't that many good sci-fi films. The director later directed I, Robot or something like that, yeah. And this film inspired The Matrix. Neo from Matrix came after this film. So there's something going on. There's something there where back in the day where, yeah, just some of the popular culture story inspiration from one to another. It sadly didn't do well enough in theater, but it made its money back in spade in DVD. So I'm just thinking about the spiritual message in art and story, and Dark City come to mind when it comes to the great invasive alien. The hive mind, they're abducting people and they're experimenting on them. And then humans have more psionic ability. Human super, like royal genes from Alice Core material, and it all proved them to be quite true. They do legitimately wanted something from us that they didn't have, and they're hive mind. The Greys are very hive mind. Being not all well read into the material, I'm just surprised that it helped me out. Movies like this helped me out when I was studying ufology. I'm pretty sure the military specifically have people that do soft disclosure, because film producers were talking about it. They were saying how the X-Files, someone approached them, and there's a show that's also kind of sci-fi like back in the day when X-Files were on. That some military people will approach them and told them to urge them to put the story in a certain direction. That's what it was. It helps. It helps. I grew up on sci-fi films, and then it's good to have a background of it. Some of the Star Trek material, like the Wormlian, Tao Shi are supposed to be a villain human faction in space that just aren't very happy. Apparently they mellowed out, and the government is negotiating or talking terms with the Federation. Who knows? I used to love the Romulan ships. I was big into the whole their cloaking. I just imagine the Romulan warbird for some reason. It's just a cool sci-fi story. But I would never have known if I wasn't deliberately digging deeper into what ufology, the xenopolitics is. I never would have known that I've stellar lifetime. I'm not that in touch with it. Let me see. So in this clip, I want to talk about source and define, and go into a little bit deeper about what I learned on my own, and then what can be corroborated from the stellar civilization, mostly from Alex Collier, because Alex Collier he's grouped the Saini people are less militaristic and more spiritual. So I did a major reference as a result of that with source. Alright, so on my own in 2006, 2007, I just set intention to communicate with divine, communicate with God at the time. That's something I wanted to do as a Christian. The major point I got and I was still praying to Jesus all the time, waiting for Jesus to save me. And I experienced in 2006 where a dark entity came into my house, came into my bedroom, and tried to elicit me. Well, I had like a sleep paralysis, where it was pressing down on my chest, right, and it was just taunting me. It's smiling down like in ghost form or shaded dark entity. It was like smiling down at me, and it was just being malicious, and like, do bad to people, or go hurt yourself, go do some harmful thing to yourself. You just flashing me psionic attack, and flashing messages in my mind, right? I fought it off. I was kind of fighty as a person, right? And then like he was pressing down on me like, who are you? Who are you to try to make me do things? And he wasn't trying to attack me. He couldn't attack me. I later find out that the spirits, they can't really mess with you unless divine lets them. Demonic attachment, demonic entity attachment people, they usually do some bad shit, like they were unfaithful in marriage, or they did acts of violence, or they were doing drugs, or some kind of thing that aren't good, right? So apparently the spirit wouldn't allow to actually come at me, right, physically, or toss me around or something like that. It was just standing in the bedroom. It was just taunting me, eliciting me with temptation, right? Yeah, maybe I was a little bit angry during that time. I was a little unforgiving of people. I was a little kid. So maybe that's why it was able to have ways at me to begin. I later manifested a couple of books on entity detachment, and I just that experience led me to dig up more about it. Like the Source Conscious book of The Only Planet of Choice, I got the entity book too. Let me look it up, and I'll mention the name a little bit later. But yeah, so let's move on to Source. When to rectify where I was learning my own thing, and how that what I learned from on my own verse. I learned not to take on savior. During the entity attack, at the end of it, I was able to fight them off when they were pressing on my chest, but it wasn't acting out against me. I was like, well, I'm not gonna sit here and let you pressing on me. Well, the only thing I could think of is call Jesus, because I'm a Christian, right? Yeah, I'll just call Jesus. If I could just summon the strength to break free from this from them pressing down my chest while I couldn't speak, then I'll just call Jesus, and then and that's what I did. And it took me maybe around like 10-15 minutes for the thing to be staring down at me, and then beaming me psionic messages. But then I was young. I had the mental energy to fight it off, right? I didn't care. Yeah, so I fought off. It felt kind of nice to be fighting. Yeah, this book right here is called the Missing Link. The What's Missing in Medicine, and this book I respect on the entity science end, because it's from a medical doctor. It's not from a Catholic priest, but the Catholic exorcist priest, and this guy named Scfi Tremont, is repeating a message that don't do bad shit to people. Don't if you partake in bad behavior, that's when the demon gets you. That's when entity attachment occurs. And so, but I needed scientists. I did not accept priests and their field of study. I think that they're religiously mired in the mind, and I like that to let intellectual tell me what is true or not. So I respected this person, and when I asked Source for this book, I kind of know who he is, and was searching for him, and was spiritually looking for just this very thing, and then I got it, and I'm still quite happy with it. It's still it is a bedrock of more understandable demons, entity, and things like this. Yeah, and then alongside this book, I asked for the Only Planet of Choice. And then also the Blue Book of Grammar for some reason. Yeah, because I was just off high school not that long ago, 3 years after high school, during this time. Well, yeah. So that was my thought life back then. And so I called Jesus. To come, and then Jesus came, and like so many other cases of entity detachment, you call ascended master, you call master teacher, they come and help you out. You call Mother Mary, you call Jesus, they come. They were real life people, and so yeah, I was quite happy that I fell off, but I didn't know a lot of things. Like angel would around a week or maybe 4 or 5 days later will flash into my backyard, telling me that I'm protected. Right at night, in the backyard, there's a big angel with angel wing that is white, and it looks more like the angel from Diablo 2, the cinematic. I was big into Diablo 2, and it was just a white light angel, and it was glowing and shining in the backyard for a little while. And I was like, what? What's that? And then afterward, a few days later, I was thinking, hey, maybe that's not a real thing. Maybe that's like a technological hologram. Maybe I'm being messed with by like aliens, man. Because I'm also into I don't know. Also, just sometimes when you question, you believe, you think that it takes belief to actually make God real, and then when you see something that is angelic, you start thinking. For me, I'm just thinking, oh man. Is it like, is alien messing with me, or is it like technology something? Yeah, but then nowadays I think it probably was an angel. It was probably kind of spiritual message telling me that you resisted the bad guys, and then and then that's not very atypical. But okay, this is important to me. Talking later about direct hashing with the divine, because the backdrop is I'm a heavy Christian at this time, and so I was quite surprised to find out that direct hashing with the divine. The divine told me you cannot have a savior in your life. That you cannot have a savior over you. You cannot have another soul that is cannot have someone like a son of God over you. Like that's not. And then that is because all souls are equal, and then Jesus is just another soul that needs you to look out for him and to love him too in life. So the reason you don't want a savior is because it inhibits your love agency. Your divine relationship is the quality of your love, alright? So if you go back to how the entity can only attach to a person when they fail to love sufficiently, right? The divine relationship is constant. It doesn't take beliefs. That's the main thing. And source doesn't tell me what divinity is. Alright. The major difference, I'm confrontational, and I don't think it's right with the Starseed, with Alex Kohler, with Elena Danam, with all many a star contact. When they talk about source, they tend to replace source with the human God, right? Human God is the divine, and the divine is not consciousness. Where the stellar people are telling you that source is consciousness, right? Source is supposed to be a center place in the universe. It's a place in the center of the universe. So I call source the creation base. You have the planet of consciousness. Mother Gaia is alive. Interstellar people saying the galaxy itself is alive. The universe, it must be alive also. So then you think big, right? I did a Marvel comic character for the source. The comic character name is One Above All. Right? In the comic, he's just a cosmic entity, right? He's a big cosmic entity. but he's not omnipotent. He's not truly omnipotent. There are things he doesn't understand, doesn't know. The nine have mentioned that Source is not all omnipotent aware of his fractal selves. Okay? He chooses not to be totally monitoring everyone. Okay? That doesn't seem like the human God to us. Okay? Our need for something deeper isn't the same. And when I was doing hashing, the Source never told me and never intrude on my own discovery on what the divine is. Okay? So when the Starseed are telling me that they know what divinity is, suddenly there's a disparity there, right? And it's very important that you examine this closely, because I was always under understanding that the moment you start telling another soul what divinity is, you trim yourself, you detract yourself, because that's not done. And the reason for this is, what I'm taught is that a divine self is substance. Relationship within yourself, the divine two. Divinity is two. Okay? That it is why you have a dark and light aspect, and the dark aspect in its extremity, in its totality, makes you singular. And to offset that dark in you, alright? To offset that dark in you, you must be able to summon a relationship within yourself, like something to draw the love out. Otherwise, you'll be this singular brute, this dictatorial, everything. That's not the case. The dark in every soul is a choice, is not a deadlock. The ability to choose love over your dark, to find that fair balance where you have a self-regard for yourself, and then you have the love for people. The choice must, because the dark is real in every soul, right? Then there must, and dark is singular. In and of itself, the dark is singular. That you must have the depth of relationship. You must have the divine two in you to offset the singular. Right? That's what I learned. I don't know if I'm going too deep on it. I'll also learn the really weird things about consciousness, that you don't worry about consciousness being this merging one. The one mind does not erode individuality. Sometimes souls get scared that they will lose their individuality into this conscious oneness, but it's not real. You have spirit souls who never incarnate, who by not reincarnating are underdeveloped as self, souls who is only spirit, doesn't know what the self is. They don't need to care about the body, their little personal concern. They don't need to express that much dark in them. Okay, so they're wobbly, they're underdeveloped. The aspect of them is underdeveloped. It's just spirit soul. And you're afraid that somehow, because you stop incarnating, you go back to the spirit state, you will be like them. You will be like them, and you will lose that self-identity. You won't. What I've been taught is that consciousness is part of nature, and nature does not erode love. The moment you lose yourself, the moment that if consciousness and the oneness erode yourself, it then intrude on the naturality of the love for your own individual self. There can be no love if you are not validated. If you yourself is not validated, it is you and the whole together. Okay, oneness is individual and then together. Alright, one plus the Lord, the everything, the everybody else. Right. Maybe sometimes souls remember when they were before in the younger state, where they have no experience incarnating, and they were, and then that's why they think back about the spirit state. That there was no self in the beginning. So why when you return to the spirit state, wouldn't you also lose that self identity, right? But you're already incarnated. Your consciousness is already expanding, growing. You already retain that self state, right? you will develop. You don't suddenly lose all that because source is learning, right? So everybody is gaining, everybody is growing. So that state that people have this irrational fear of going back to, well, you're never gonna go back to the point of origin where you knew nothing, because you're incarnating, you're learning, you're growing, and the self that you built upon here at incarnation stays with you. I'm saying, it's an irrational fear, and I've been taught that consciousness does not conflict love. Right? Everything about the creation state, about the one, just it doesn't harm you. Right? These things don't harm you. They don't conflict the divine law, and so I'm quite confident that I can stare down an energetic oneness, spiritual oneness, and just find myself, find my individual self. And there's nothing weird about conscious oneness, okay? If you stop incarnating for too long, or you're in the spirit state for too long, maybe you forget a little what it means to be incarnating. I don't know. But then, how hard is it for you to pick it up again, it doesn't matter too much. But you don't lose yourself. I'm repeating myself, but that's the thing. I got that crystal crisp, and I'm not seeing other people getting it. Yourself is always validated for love to be real. That's the main thing. So consciousness does not act weird, and then there are things like Savior inhibits love. Savior putting a Jesus over you inhibit love, as many people now understand. Why should some guy, what the heck is sin anyway? Church attendance is going down. New generation of kids are not accepting churches. They're asking the tough question, what the heck is sin anyway? Sin just isn't real. After the word hashing out, I learned that that is a non-issue. It's not something that the divine consider or care about. It's more like a institution manipulation tool. That's what I learned. So the very need of Jesus to shed his blood for you is rather null, because the divine doesn't care about such thing. And then later I find out that Jesus is just indeed is a reincarnating soul like anybody else. He found his Ascended Master soul group, and they're quite authentic in terms of the group member get in contact with VIP politicians. That's what they're focusing on, and sometimes they avatar down. From the spirit state, they avatar down and they visit people, and they just try to teach them something. And I knew about this group of Ascended Master because when I asked for the Only Planet of Choice book, I was aware enough to compare the 9 soul development to the Ascended Master, and what I found out, I paired the two up. I wanted to just wait them and just understand. That just seemed like a cool thing to do. Let's go with the top source 9 and compare them to mere master teacher and see how that's like. What the source 9 are saying, they're not teachers. I'm not sure what the reason is why, but they develop in the sense that they don't do the things that master teacher do. And then I saw very clearly that they are magnitude more comprehensively responsible. And so I stopped listening to Ascended Master when they told me they know what divine is, and they keep hanging this thread of they know the divine better than me over me, and they start teaching and bulldozing in, and and it became very obvious that the 9 knows more about what they're talking about. So place special emphasis on the 9 when the 9 says source is not defined, and the source is not defined for a very legitimate reason, that you need to connect with the source, okay? Connect with nature, connect with the planet, be in tune with creation, be in tune, you get the memo, right? Be in tune with what? Connect with what? Another soul. If source can be viewed as a big cosmic entity, say the creation foundation one, right? The base one. If the planet is the ground that you stand upon, and you call it the planet, and then after the planet you get the galaxy, you get the universe that all these things situated itself in, then what's next? Maybe it is the multiverse, right? Multiverse is next, and then what's next? What at the final biggie? Wouldn't that be just be the the creation foundation base, and then you connect with that too, right? And that is why source is giving, is another soul loving, right? Source is giving life energy out. It's another soul loving. That is why you connect with source. You recognize that it is another soul, right? I'm not seeing aliens talk about this often enough. They end it and then go threads, and then they go nowhere else, and then they just talk about consciousness. Consciousness is not deep enough for us human. We stayed in density too long. We want it deeper. We want a deeper relationship because we're extra dense. I'm seeing that the problem with Atlantis, where people went wonky, most of the story about the latter days of Atlantis is that people were enlarging their sexual organs. They were into so many obscene things. They were gene splicing animals, and then maybe the depravity, right? Why? The night is the most evolved spiritual souls. Only so why is there spirituality that they didn't take? And I'm starting to understand that, like a car that is designed to either flip or not flip during the car crash, you have to build a car lower body weight, right? Like this, I manifested a car called Audi R8, and then I manifested a car called Tesla S2. Both are designed in the same way, where the lower center body weight weighted down so it doesn't flip, right? Well, spirit souls is notorious for not being incarnate stable. They came in, they out of the element, they go wonky, right? Their ego get bloated and they go wonky. So whatever is missing from the ninth spiritual teach is missing to such a degree where it would have created a problem with only spirit soul perspective, only spirit, and then this is the strong point of it all, right? No, I'm seeing that when you have people like the interstellar people with their 5D and their racing consciousness, and Thohan and his people were like, your body is just an envelope, and raise your frequency or something like that. Interstellar, there's a core on lifetime of Thohan and I, and they talk about weird spiritual fluffy thing, and you're like, there's no way that is enough substance to even contain yourself to love and steady your footing, right? As a normal 3D dense incarnation, where the self is almost absolute, right? And you're not so spiritually uplifted, where you're partially etheric like, and you're connected to this one, right? You're none of these things. We're dense incarnation, and our self is so rock bottom brick. And how do we stabilize our divine bearing enough to love better, right? And the reason, and I'm understanding that we should not be using Starseed lingo, because Starseed have another lifetime where they're higher density coming down, and density have nothing to do with it doesn't mean they know what divinity is better, right? Source frequency source will not tell me what divinity is. It doesn't matter. You think it gives, you think that density will give someone the right to tell you what divinity is, it will be wrong. That's what I've been taught. I'm very strict about this, that you only know what divinity is by hashing it out yourself with the divine within yourself. Right? And the word God has been a major distraction for myself, because every time I use the word God, demons start blocking me. And that is because you conflict the fundamental naturality, source naturality, source is nature. Right? To recognize what nature truly is in all its ruling is that there is no God. The big thing that the only planet of choice from the Bible was saying, there is no such thing as God. And you have to stress the fact that soul's equality is the natural order. And any time that you take on something that's conflict, the word design of creation, right? Then you create problems. And so there were a number of periods after I learned all this that I was still taking on the word gods, and demons would keep blocking me afterward, and it was quite painful, but I just couldn't grasp. But now after years and years, with a clear headspace, I finally learned that God is just fear, right? God is a detraction of self, and for you to obtain that divine relationship that human crave at our density range, you need to lose the word God. God is hateful to yourself, right? Hateful, and then it creates opportunities. There's a fake alien invasion, but then the next thing is also the fake shout of Turin, the fake Jesus Messiah, because that's their game. That's the only thing the demon like to do. They like to hijack this God complex, this savior complex, and work you with it. You will not have a good time. You will not have a good time. And the sooner you realize that Jesus is equal to you on the soul level, the better. He's a quality soul. He's probably Gnostic. And Gnostic in ancient time were probably teaching a human diluted version of the source spirituality. And Jesus, historic Jesus, probably never touted himself as a Messiah, as a savior to people. Right? He was probably teaching people about what source is. Christ consciousness is probably just source. Right? Because he's been proven to be a quality soul that's fighting demons and helping people detach from entities. So he must have in lifetime been comparable in that regard. And the evidence-based record on historic Jesus is leading toward that. Where earliest record were in the Dead Sea, you uncover some Gnostic scroll or something like that. There's no record of him touting himself as Messiah, Son of God. And that whole bout is just, it looks like a institutional power play that came later. Similar to when the Bible removed reincarnation from the book. It's because with reincarnation out of the book, they can control people better. So understand these things, and mostly that is all I know. You have to take on soul equality, and then you have to take driving love action, and then remember your relationship within yourself with the divine is constant, right? So by owning your divinity, you're submitting that very relationship that you were seeking while you were praying to God, right? Where praying to God actually detracts that very relationship, right? You have to own your divinity to be wholesomely to yourself, and then that's when the relationship starts. That's your divine within, your divine tool within, and it's constant. It doesn't take belief. That's why in all cases of demon attachment, they mess with their defined relationship within themselves, with how they treat themselves, with how they treat others. And the only way to maintain a healthy relationship is love, Divinity is love. Your defined relationship is real, then it's your action that counts. It's not what you, It's, you have to take the action to, it's a two-way bridge, right? Relationship is two-way bridge. You have to do your part. Souls that don't do their part and then they go off and do their own thing, irrespective of love, irrespective of this relationship, then they get worried and mess with. So that's what I learned. And then I'm probably just gonna end it here because that's the most important point. Alright, and then for myself, I'm just trying to work out of the notion that the spirit state is nothing to fear about. And then try to love better. Alright.